Hey everybody, today we are going to be going over exactly how you can use email outreach to get billion-dollar companies as potential sales opportunities for your organization just using cold emails. The reason you should listen to me, here are some of our recent results. These are just some random companies I picked out that we've recently booked for some of our clients. You can see NAV is a Fortune 500 oil company. Intel is a Fortune 500 electronics company. This is one of the largest luxury hotel groups in the world. Acerinox is a Spanish $9 billion a year steel manufacturer. KPMG is one of the big four consulting firms, the fourth biggest in the world. And there's plenty more where this came from. So now that you believe that I'm capable, let's dive into the first step here, which is to self-assess whether or not this is even relevant for you. This is relevant for you if your service or product is already proven with enterprises or very large companies, what I would describe as at least $100 million a year in revenue. If it's not, you really shouldn't even touch this. You really shouldn't even be trying to do outreach to those types of companies until you have a proven offer with product market fit that you've already experimented with at least one very large customer. Part two to that is having actual documented results with said customer. Because if you don't have any case studies or results, no large company wants themselves to be the company that you break your enterprise virginity with. Okay, because that's far too high of a risk for them. Some key differences between enterprise and selling to small, medium enterprises or small, medium business is your offer is totally different. Where you might be slinging guarantees, 15 to 20 qualified appointments per month, or providing services that suit smaller businesses like cold calling or cold emailing, where chances are large enterprises are already doing that. You need to make sure your service is actually suitable for them. And that's why it's so important that you've actually done it before and that this is a problem that enterprises are willing to pay to solve or a service they're willing to pay to have that they don't already have. When you sell to small business, a lot of the times there are so many gaps and so many things that they do not have simply because they are smaller. There's lots of different things you can sell to them. Enterprise is different where they have a lot of those solutions already in place. So usually you're looking to either improve them or you have some completely new solution that very few companies in general have. Secondly, obviously you need to maintain professional throughout, both on calls, but also in your outreach to these enterprises. It's significantly more important than with smaller business. These organizations are often far more bureaucratic and you're not going to be dealing with very straightforward executives all the time. Lastly is understanding your different ICP and your different selling points to enterprise because it's totally different than approaching a small business. Where your ICP with a small business might be the CEO or the owner, try reaching a CEO of a billion-dollar company. It's very, very rare, even for someone like me who does it full time. So you need to adjust your ICP to fit a job title that's really more realistic. Secondly, the actual selling points. Enterprises have totally different pain points and totally different selling points than smaller businesses. You can't approach an enterprise and say, we're going to increase your revenue by 20%. It's simply not going to happen because that's billions of dollars, not 100 grand. Secondly, they just have different pain points, which we'll touch on a little bit later. So building your first lead list for enterprises. When I referenced an enterprise specific ICP, that wasn't just a bullshit phrase that I'm using. There is actually a different set of people that you will want to talk to at much larger companies. The first note is don't just target C-suite executives, owners, that kind of thing, because they are much harder to reach. You still can, but you should expand your reach to other decision makers within any organization. So heads, senior directors, senior vice presidents, executive vice presidents, other industries might have job titles like managing director, managing partner. These people have decision-making authority to spend budgets greater than those at small businesses, even though they are not the C-suite executive. You also need to think about, with this expanded reach, what are their specific pain points? What are their selling points? What vocabulary does their specific department or job title use? Is this offer relevant to their position? Because when you start to sell to companies that are this big, Unlike when you're just selling directly to the owner who just wants to make the company more money, obviously, these people have different opinions, different priorities. They want to look good to their fellow colleagues. They don't want to be embarrassed when they inevitably have to show your proposal or your offer to their colleagues. And sometimes, even though it's not necessarily the right thing, these people don't actually care as much about how much the company profits every year. They want a raise. They want to look good for themselves. Humans are inherently selfish. So you need to be considering what their priorities are, not just what's good for the organization, but what's good for them. So like I said, you're going to be widening your search quite a bit. Where your usual target might just be the CMO at an under 50 employee company. In enterprise, you could reach the CMO, sure, but you should also try the head of brand, the head of creatives, the director of marketing, the vice president of marketing, the head of business development if it's a B2B firm, the vice president of business development, the chief commercial officer, the chief revenue officer. There are so many different job titles that if you're not consistently doing outreach or you're not used to selling to enterprise, you wouldn't even know that the chief revenue officer even exists. But there are thousands of them, and you could be outreaching to them rather than just the chief marketing officer. So let's dive into actually building a lead list, because I'm not going to just show you this theoretical bullshit. So I've got my Apollo list pulled up here. If we're going to be talking about enterprise, I usually use the employee count filter. And what I'll do, I'm limited to the United States right now. Enterprise, I'm typically thinking at least 200 employees and upward. And oftentimes it's even bigger than that, where we're not looking at 200 employee. Now, in the example that I named earlier, if you were to just put chief marketing officer, and keep in mind, I'm not even limiting for any department. It's every chief marketing officer at large firms in the United States. There's only 4,600 of them, which is barely anything, and we haven't even limited that by industry yet. If I include people with similar job titles, it's actually 3,500. So 3,500, even if you got a really good 5% reply rate on your campaign, it really wouldn't be that amount of leads. Let's say you got a 5% reply rate, a 10% positive reply rate. Of those replies, you would be looking at around 5% reply rate with a 10% positive reply rate, only 17 interested leads, of which maybe half you can book over a meeting. Well, congrats. You just went through the entire list and got 8 meetings. So how can we expand this list to hit multiple decision makers within each organization and maximize the amount of meetings we can get? Well, if I take a look here at some of our other job titles, I'm going to start putting in just even the C-suite executives with other names, as well as some of the more senior roles that could be related to marketing and revenue growth. So if I add in CRO, Chief Commercial Officer, Head of Business Development, Vice President of Business Development, VP of Marketing, Senior Vice President Marketing, Executive Vice President Marketing, Director of Brand, Brand Strategy. Great. So I've just put in a few different ones, and these are very specific job titles. And you can see I've expanded my list to over 22,000. And all of these people are going to have decision-making authority. That's almost 10x what I had earlier. If you want to be even smarter, what you can do is go ahead, check off, include people with similar titles. We're now up to 43,000. If you want advice on specifically other roles to find, I'd recommend using AI, which can generate you a bunch of lists, or taking a look at Apollo's feature here, where you can see just all the different types of job roles there are. Because in these companies, they have hundreds of different names for jobs that if you haven't worked in a company like that, or even if you have, you likely don't know all of them. So just like that, our prospect list is over 43,000 now. Perfect for a mass email campaign, or if we wanted to go a little more strict on the targeting, we'd have plenty of room to do so. Okay, great. So now you've built a lead list. The next thing you need to do is create what I call the lookalike campaign strategy. Now with the lookalike campaign strategy, all you need to do is pull a list of all your previous enterprise customers. And if you don't have any that are truly enterprise, aim for ones that are somewhat close, upper middle market, $100 million plus a year in revenue, something like that. add to that list the results or the case study, the statistics that you got for that client, whatever you improved for them, whatever problem you solved. Then categorize that list by industry. And even better, if you can add the sub-industry, add the result, and then also add the location if that's relevant for you. So now you're going to execute the lookalike campaign strategy. So now let's take a look at real proven examples of scripts I've been sending as of today, February 14th, 2025, and the results they've gotten. Here is one email we've been sending out. First name, we develop fatigue management tech that reduces TRIR, total recordable incident instances, by an average of 35% in the mining industry. It's been implemented by Glencore, largest mining firm in the world, Rio Tinto Mines, Anglo American Mines, and many other industry leaders. I'd love to hear your feedback, even if you aren't in the market for this at the moment. Do you have 20 to 30 minutes next week to chat? Name, VP of Business Development, company name. Very to the point. The important things to notice here are we start off by telling them exactly what we are, what it does for them that's important. So in this case, it reduces TRIR, which is the total recordable incident rate, by an average of 35% in their industry. So whatever the result is that you're getting, you make it immediately apparent. You give them an average number in their industry. And even if it isn't really particular to their industry, it's good to say that it is. Then we start off with the immediate social proof, the immediate building of that credibility. So we say it's been implemented by Glencore, the largest mining firm in the world, Rio Tinto, a top 10 mining company, and Anglo American, the fourth largest mining company in the world. This immediately builds up your credibility, because if you think about this, this is like if you were a small tech company or even a large tech company and someone reached out to you saying Apple or Google was doing this. In your industry, those are the big players. So you're immediately going to pay attention to what they're doing. This line here is pretty genius. You're just sort of playing it like you're there to hear their feedback and that you're not really trying to aggressively sell them something. Of course, if they like it, they're going to want to work with you. This is actually inspired by a Y Combinator. The other email is not as relevant, so it's not done specifically by industry. A little more of a lazy approach, but an approach you can take. You don't have that specific industry case study, is you can just use some of the big companies you've worked with. So, hey, first name, would you like a fresh look at your IT expenses? We've helped companies like Apple, HSBC, and Chevron reduce their, and I can't give away this client's particular offer, but reduce their certain type of expense by an average of 44% through our patented technology process, whilst keeping their preferred vendors. When would you be available for a 20-minute conversation next week for a complimentary assessment of your spend? So we always say next week in case this email sends on a Friday, and we don't want to say this week. And the purpose of this call is to offer them something up front that seems like it's valuable. So in this particular example, we're offering them a complimentary assessment by consultants of what they're spending on certain items to see if they could save money. So it seems like it's a really valuable thing that people would normally pay for, and we're offering it for free. Of course, that call is also a sales call that can lead to a potential opportunity of our client working with them. Yesterday, from this exact email, we booked a $350 million a year revenue nonprofit. Here's their email response. By the way, I thought I'd throw in some subject lines that we find always work for basically any piece of email outreach. You really don't need to overthink about the subject line. These work. So these are some real proven email script examples. What is the takeaway basically from those? So essentially, you want to be concise. You want to be under 3 to 4 sentences. Do not be like these corporate marketing teams that are sending paragraphs and paragraphs that nobody is reading. Executives get 100 of these emails a day. You need to get your point across, be straightforward, and do it very short, and do it very briefly. Like I said, get straight to the point, no corporate BS. Be direct, but also sound human. Typically, you'll notice there's some kind of average statistic or average result that we name in the email. The 44% savings or the 35% drop in incident rate. That is then anchored by who that result was applied to. The case study, or the previous clients. And with enterprises, you want to be naming other enterprises. You don't want to go to an enterprise that's doing $5 billion a year and tell them you helped a company that was doing $500K a year, because they're not going to think that you're capable of helping them. Finally, you're going to end off the email with a clear call to action, sometimes with some kind of offer attached to it, like the complimentary assessment, or sometimes just asking them when they're available, typically for a call on the shorter side, no more than 30 minutes. So how can you actually do this for your own business or your own clients? Well, step one is to take that previous customer list, sort it by your industry, sort it by their industry and the sub-industry. So what do I mean by industry and sub-industry? I mean, industry might be mining, or more broadly, industrial. Sub-industry would be silver mining, for example. Then you're going to create email scripts specific to each industry plus sub-industry. So for example, if we had a silver mining customer, we would hit all the silver mines with the script that specifically calls out that we helped another silver mine. We would take that away when we're just emailing mining companies in general. Here are the examples with 2xing their drilling efficiency. Just an example result I came up with. You're going to add the relevant case studies results for each script, and you're going to do this for every single previous customer you have. I have clients where they came to me with 50 previous customers across various different industries, and we've been able to do this for every single industry they were in, and the results are incredible. The next thing you're going to do is pull your lead list and create the full campaigns and put those into your sending software. And this is where it gets less theoretical and more technical. So from here, how do you actually take action? Well, there's about 3 different options from here. There is DIY, doing it yourself. This is what I preferred when I had no money and I was learning this skill. Luckily, you have resources I didn't have, in that there are YouTube videos where I literally give you the scripts that have taken me months of learning this, years actually, and I just give them to you of what exactly is working, just like I did in this video. So you can see full campaign sequences are available in these 2 videos that I published. When I say full campaign sequences, that means the full cadence. So I only showed you the first email we send. We also send typically 2 to 3 more follow-up emails after that first one. These emails have a breakdown of when to send those, what they look like, and how they change depending on the campaign. The next thing is the actual tech stack. There's a variety of different softwares you need for cold email. You need to first set up your domains, your inboxes, which are your email addresses, build your lead list from different sources, verify those emails that you get from your lead list, and then you need to have a sending tool that will automatically send the emails out for you and warm up your email inboxes so you don't land in the spam box. And you need some kind of tool to monitor your email inboxes and ensure that while you're sending, you're not ending up in the spam box. And of course, when you're getting all of those things in your tech stack, you're also going to have to learn how to use all of them, which is quite a process in itself. So I would say this usually takes around 3 to 6 months to get down decently. You can get the basics down probably in about a month. The second option is done with you. So you can consult with me, depending if you know completely nothing, or you know some things, or you're pretty advanced and you just want some help with script or copywriting or some specific thing. We can get on for a 1-hour consulting call, and I can assist you personally with whatever issues you're facing. This obviously takes money. I don't do this for free, but it would save you significant time if you were trying to do it yourself, or if you're facing any issues with your current email campaigns. It also means you're actually more likely to stick to doing this when you have to put money in. The final option is done for you. So if you are running a business and you really don't have time to get into the technicals of all of this, I can basically set it all up completely for you and continue running it if you choose. This can be either a one-time setup for you, handing you the system, or continuing to run this system, if it's a fit for our agency, of course, for you, and then hopefully getting you great results. I say 0 worries and 100% guaranteed, because if I don't think I can get you clients, I simply won't work with you. This obviously costs more than the other 2 options, but takes significantly less time, and time is very valuable if you own a business. So this is probably the best option if you have a strong cash flowing business. For some people, this is the best options. For others, it's not. If it is the best option for you to either do the done with you or the done for you, I highly recommend the next step would be to speak with me, brief 20-30 minute call, which you can go to profitpathgrowthpartners.com/call. The link will be in the description and in the comment section of this video. And we'll figure out if I think it's a fit for the done with you or the done for you service. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed the free value in this video. I highly recommend you check out some of my other videos for more knowledge that I give away totally for free. And if you decide you'd like to work with me on a paid basis, there's a lot of information you can gain from that too. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. You can see my other videos here. Subscribe, leave a like, and comment with your thoughts. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.